So our highway supervisor's not here.
No, he's not.
So I'll go right into Richard Haller, if you'd like to get up, please.
I'm here today because the bylaws that were recently passed for Hamilton Reservoir and the other lakes require that if anybody wants to put any signage up, they need to get permission from the selectmen to do so. So for 40 years or so, my family has put a 5-mile-an-hour sign, which is a floating sign, in the Narrows by the dam. And so I'd like permission to continue to do that, and also to add possibly 3 signs which would be on the land. For one thing, when people put in boats at the landing, they don't see the floating sign until they get around the point. So if there was a sign there, that would be a good idea. Also, to have a sign at the other end of the peninsula would be a good idea, simply because, as happened this year, you might not get the sign out before Memorial Day for one reason or another. And so that's what I'm asking permission for, to continue to put the floating sign out there, and also to possibly put up to 3 other signs. I haven't spoken to my cousin who owns the property there, so I can't be sure that that would happen.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
The state runs the boat ramp. Do we have the authority to put a sign on the boat ramp? I mean, I know we can close it off for safety reasons, but do we have authority to put a sign on a state-run property?
I don't know, that isn't where I was going to put the sign.
Okay.
But I can tell you that there is a sign, a large sign that was put by the Reservoir Association over there that
I'm not
explains
saying
some
you
of the
can't put a
regs.
sign there. I'm just wondering if they have the authority to grant you permission to do so, because it's Army Corps.
I believe we do. I believe there is a letter somewhere that grants the town authority over that.
Okay,
Alito Road
that's all I
over
wanted to
Fisher's
know.
Landing. I can double check that for you, but I think I have some paperwork on that.
So Dick, they would just be, up to 3 signs, they would just be 5-mile-an-hour signs, that's all they would say?
Well, you know, they actually changed it to 6, so maybe I should.
Who changed it to?
Not me.
I think the state.
Yeah, headway speed is defined as no more than 6 miles an hour in a vessel, that's not even including a jet ski.
Yeah.
So there's,
Right, the full reg is not to exceed 6 miles per hour, except in the case of a personal watercraft, which shall mean the slowest speed at which the watercraft may be operated and maintain steerage way, and the operator shall be either kneeling or sitting.
Well, not
That
to
doesn't make a
exceed,
very
not to
good
ex-
sign.
not to exceed, I know. The small print is, will take you 10 miles just to read.
Right.
But I mean, it's been traditionally 5 miles an hour, and it says up to 6 miles
I
an hour.
have a suggestion. Do you already have the sign?
Yes.
A suggestion just to think about is maybe instead of, well, since you already have the sign, I guess something makes sense, but I was gonna say something to the effect of maybe headway speed, maximum headway speed, yes. Because there's 2 different speeds headway speed is different for a jet ski than it is for a boat. So that's just a suggestion to think about maybe in the future.
Okay. So in the meantime, shall I just put out the 5-mile-an-hour
Yeah.
sign?
So do I have,
will-
a-
Do you have a,
Larry,
I-
we have to have a motion.
I'd like to move that the select board grant permission for Dick Haller to put up to 3 signs stating 5 miles an hour in the, around the north boat ramp.
Okay. Do I have a second?
So,
All in favor?
Sorry, can you repeat the motion to me? So I'm having a hard time hearing the people at the mic. I think I gathered we're talking about speed signs by the boat ramp.
that's right.
Or,
Yeah, Eli, there's traditionally at least been 1 sign that says 5 miles an hour as you enter the inlet heading towards the north boat ramp. And Dick has requested that he be allowed to put up to 3 signs stating 5 miles an hour, and that's what the motion is.
that was your motion. I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Dick, very much. Financial policy review. Eli, if you had a chance to read that?
I have not.
All right, then I'm going to make a motion to table it till the
Well,
next meeting.
I'll I'll second that, and we can vote on it, and then I have a suggestion in connection to that.
All right.
We can vote on that.
If you table it, you can't
Can't
discuss
discuss
it
it.
after.
All right, well, I would like to set up, I would like to invite the Finance Committee to the next Select Board meeting to discuss this financial policy, in addition to the item that the Highway Department wanted to discuss, which has to do with money going into stabilization. There's a couple of items I want to discuss with them, so could we invite them to the next meeting to go over that? I don't want to just rubber stamp the financial policy that they've given us. I've got a lot of questions on it, and I think I need to, at least I need to talk to them.
Joint meeting, is that what you're suggesting?
What was that, EI?
You want to schedule a joint meeting, is that what you're saying, for the next?
Yeah,
Yes.
for the next, our next Select Board meeting, I'd like to have a joint meeting with the Finance Committee to go over this financial policy and the stabilization fund. Those are the two items I'd like to have on the agenda.
I'll approve to have those on the agenda, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Now if you want to table your,
Now we can table it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
All right.
All right. Grant application. Mr. Hood, how are you?
Handouts here. Tina,
Thank you.
Mary,
Thank you.
Kelly.
thank
One
you.
for your records.
Yes, I do.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
You guys understand all about
Well, thank you for putting me on the agenda tonight. My name is Ed Hood. I'm Executive Director of Opakam Land Trust. I was here about a year ago talking about, yes, Kelly.
Could you not talk quite so fast?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't write as quick as I used to. Thank
You
you.
flag me down when you need. Executive Director of Opakam Land Trust, and we were here a year ago talking about a project we're working on here in Holland to conserve a large parcel of land on Stafford and Blodgett Roads. And it's on the map I've provided you, and Bettina has been working directly with us. Larry, I think you walked the property.
Yep.
Andy has been out there. And we've been working with the Open Space Committee, Trails Committee, and the Council on Aging Senior Housing Committee, talking about this for the last year, trying to put together a project that would benefit the town. So what I'd like to do tonight is get your permission to apply for 2 grants on behalf of the town to help us acquire this land for town use. And I can explain those grants. And it's on the first, there's the map, then on the next handout is a summary that I really wrote for you tonight. And there's 2 grants we're applying for. The first one is actually coming through the Conservation Commission, and it's the Massachusetts Executive Office of the Environment, Energy and Environment has a program called the Land Grant Program, which is land acquisition for natural diversity, and the CONSCOM has already approved us applying for that and has signed off on it. And that will provide matching funds for up to 62% of the,
Breathing really loud.
he should just hit mute.
So let me put you back on speakerphone just a moment, please.
I guess that's a good
You
sign.
don't have to hang it up.
Yeah, because it won't.
Okay.
He's on his cell phone, so he's probably holding it so he can actually hear people.
And I've been researching another grant that would also help reduce the total cost to the town and to the land trust to acquire this property. And it's a grant program through the United States Forest Service. So that's the 3rd page I gave you. It says Holland Community Forest, United States Forest Service grant program. And the notion here is that for the portion of the land that would be conserved as open space, it would become a community forest, which the main difference is that we would use it more actively for education for people who do forestry. We would have a long-term management plan for managing the forest on it, including occasionally harvesting some of the timber, which, since the town owns it, they could use that to help pay for the upkeep of the property. But we would also use to teach forestry, so Opakam Land Trust would work with the town to do that activity. The Forest Service is encouraging this kind of conservation for the public benefit and to really show forestry as an important part of our economy, so we could use the land for that as well. The two grants together would provide the majority of the funding needed to acquire this property. We're going to do an appraisal with the land grant, and that's one of the things I need town support for tonight, is to get a qualified appraisal. And we have a quote from William King, who did an appraisal for this property back in 2015. We split the cost, that is the land trust, with the owner. But this time, since the town is applying for the land grant, the town would have to pay for the appraisal. And his quote to do it is $2,700. So that would be an upfront cost that the town would bear to apply for the grant.
Okay.
Well, if we successfully get that grant, we would find out in November whether we get it or not. And so nothing we're doing now or you're doing now commits the town to having to purchase this property. So you wait till you find out if you get the grant, wait till we find out if we get the Forest Service grant, which again would be at the end of the year, and at which point the selectmen, the town will have an opportunity to decide, is this the right move? Do we want to move forward in negotiating with the landowner? And I will communicate to the landowner, we're pursuing this path. They seem content to wait on this process. It'll depend a bit on the appraisal, but I think they liked the first appraisal they had, so if we can continue at that level, they'll be happy with it.
So you would anticipate then we'd be in a position at the next annual town meeting to present this to the town and get them to approve
So
it?
the goal would be to have this as a really well worked out deal by the time of the next town meeting, because we will need a town meeting vote to approve the land grant moving forward. And then, of course, one of the steps is that the land grant and the community forest grant are reimbursable grants. So the town actually has to lay all the money out first. But as soon as the property's closed and a conservation easement recorded, which can happen very quickly, days or weeks, then the town is reimbursed very rapidly for those funds.
But we would know ahead of time, so,
Right.
okay.
Right, yeah, you would not enter into that town meeting vote unless you knew all that money was ready to go. You had a purchase and sale agreement that was contingent on that vote. So we would be working on that early next spring if the funding was in hand.
And what's to prevent the seller from negotiating a separate deal with another buyer between now and next year? Nothing?
Nothing. No, we can't hold them on that. You know, it's
Could we
willing.
could we negotiate a right of first refusal without town meeting approval, Kelly?
No, you cannot.
Yeah, you'd have to pay him too, so that would be.
Okay.
He's had another offer, but it's much lower than the appraisal, so he's not been interested in that, so.
And you chose the appraiser based on the fact that he appraised this property in the past?
Yeah, because a new appraisal runs around $4,000. So he's, in redoing, he can use a lot of the work he did previously, so we're paying less than we would get it new, than we were paying for it brand new, so. And he's done a lot of these projects in this region, so he tends to be used by land trusts. You know, we trust him for our projects. I think if we went out to a new appraiser, we might have a hard time getting it done in time for the grant deadline, and it would probably cost us more.
What is the grant deadline?
July 12th,
This July 12th?
this July 12th.
Oh, wow.
Well, I think that, most pieces are we can get done in time. It's really getting the permission and getting the appraisal done are the real hurdles for us.
And we can fund this out of one of those
Norcross?
Norcross.
This actually would be a very appropriate way to
Yeah.
use the Norcross funding, since it's given as a gift in lieu of taxes, which is voluntary.
Yeah.
And they really like to see things going toward this type of project, because that's, you know, pretty much the heart and soul of Norcross. So if they decide to audit us and see what we're using the money for,
Yeah,
this would be a good reason to use it. And it's in there, so there's enough money to fund this.
well, let me put a motion on the table.
Go right ahead, sir.
Can you hear okay?
I was going to
Eli?
ask you for one.
Okay.
I can hear, I'm following along.
I'd like to move that the Board of Selectmen approve OPECO moving forward with the application for 2 grants, and that we fund the cost of the appraisal out of, for up to $2,700 out of our
I need
Norcross
that
fund.
in 2 motions. I need the grants in
All
one
right,
and
then,
the
okay, so-
funding in
all right.
the other.
All right,
It may be as high as 3,000, so if it's possible to say not to exceed 3,000.
all right,
I'm hoping it'll come in at 2,700, but it's right in that range.
all right. Okay, so the first motion is to approve moving forward with the 2 grant applications.
Do I have a second?
Eli, Larry just
Here,
Larry just made a motion to approve going forward with the grants. Do we have a second?
Second, and I think, just to offer my 2 cents, that this is an opportunity we can't hesitate on. We need to move forward with it. We can't sit back and let this go away or get away from us. This is going to be the best chance we have to follow up on a lot of the things we've been talking about for the last couple of years. So, all for it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And what do we have in Norcroft? What's our balance?
Norcross. And
Motion
the
to,
balance is
approve.
about $4,000.
All right. I'd like to move that we fund for the appraisal up to $3,000 out of Norcroft.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I just have another moment, I mean, I think
Sure.
one of the great benefits of this is that, this is really at the intersection of Stafford Road and Mashpog Road. It's really the center of Holland. So if we're able to secure this property, the town will control those 17 acres for whatever use it wants. So we've been talking about senior housing, but new library, ball field, whatever the town wants, it'll be that public use defining the center of town. And then back 150 acres would be what we're calling this community forest that could have trails for hiking. We can do active class time with the schools. I know Jen works with the Envirothon program at Munson, I believe. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity to really create new attraction to the center of town, and OPEC would be a partner in the long term to help make that happen. And I know you have a grant out on senior housing on viability, so that could be one of the projects. So I think the town would end up in the end. So this is something we think about come next winter, depending on what grants come in. The town would probably have to pay between $50,000 and $60,000 for its share of it. We're going to get some funding from the state. We've met with Ann Goby and Todd Small. I think they're working with us to help make that happen. If we don't get the federal grant, then the town's share may go up to as much as $130,000. But again, this is to acquire a very large piece of land that will help define the center of the town going into the future. So we could make the case, I think, if need be, come the winter.
These are reimbursement grants.
Yeah.
And at some point, Opakam was talking about returning some of the funds for the portion of the 170 in the back, or whatever the acreage was in the back. Is that still on the table?
Yeah, if you look at this handout, there's a little bit of a budget here
Down here.
on funding sources. And so
Okay.
Opakam would raise about $25,000 towards the project with our capacity. It just shows the state grants. We'd set aside, I think there's a number of house lots there, so we'll hold one of those out from the conservation and sell it to help pay for the overall project costs, and that adds one more house to the tax rolls.
All right, cool beans.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So you'd be selling one house lot to help fund the cost of the
Yeah, 'cause-
acquisition?
Yeah, what will happen is that we're going to do the appraisal that segregates out the 17 acres on Stafford Road and this one building lot, so the conservation dollars won't go to that. But when we go to buy from the seller, we're going to have to buy everything at once, and then we'll refund the various pots of money going towards that. So if the state's going to contribute towards the land acquisition for the frontage, we have to see when that money's going to come in as well. So some of that money might not come in all at once. We could try to sell that house lot right away, or we could sit on it and put it on the market. Or someone local may want to buy it right off the bat, and we can certainly put the word out. But we want to get as much for it as we can.
Thank you, Ed.
You're very welcome, thank you.
Thanks,
I do.
Okay, new business. Appoint Chris Magoo to Lake Oversight Committee as an ad hoc member.
Yes, Ms. McCoo has asked not to be reappointed to the Conservation Commission. In her capacity on the Lake Oversight Committee, she is the Conservation Commission representative. There are 4 positions for ad hoc members, and so there's I think 2 currently open. So she could fill one of those, and she'd like to be appointed starting July 1st as one of the ad hoc members.
Okay. Move to appoint Chris McCoo as an ad hoc member of the Lake Oversight Committee effective July 1st.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we know if we have anybody lined up from the conservation to fill her spot?
Yes, I believe they do have someone in mind,
They're discussing it.
but it's still in the works right now.
Okay.
Appoint Cataline, how do you say that?
Caitlin Damaris,
Yes, to conservation beginning July 1st. for-
is this the person?
Yes, it is.
And is she still interested in the position?
Very much.
All right.
All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Vote to change title of exec secretary?
Yeah, you want to talk, or do you want me to?
You put it on here.
All right.
Okay, so,
All right, well, I'll
okay.
As you all know, Kelly's leaving effective July 1st, around that time frame. What we've done over the last 3 years is evolve that position from what was an executive assistant to really what is the roles and responsibilities of a town manager. One of the issues that we've run into is that people see the title executive secretary. So we have a lot of people applying for that job who have strong secretarial skills, but not a very strong municipal background. And I want to be able to match the title up with the job responsibilities that position has evolved into over the last few years since Kelly's been there, because I think strategically that's the direction we want to continue to head in. We want to have really a professional level town manager, given the fact that select board generally are all full-time working people, and that we need somebody in-house 5 days a week to oversee the day-to-day operations of the town. I think that we've made some changes over the last few years to our bylaws that allow us to change the title from executive secretary to town manager. And so it's just a job title change. We're not talking about anything other than job title. The responsibilities are already reflect the title of town manager.
Eli?
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with the idea. I understand the idea. My concern with it is only that, and I think we're going to see this, is when you start changing the titles as far as town manager, executive secretary, a lot of times with that title comes a price range change. And my concern is that I understand the responsibilities are the same either way.
Yeah.
With that title change, may very well come an expectation. I mean, our numbers are a number right now, money-wise.
And that's my concern too, Eli, but I think over time, maybe the compensation will better reflect the job responsibilities. But at the end of the day, what we're looking for is somebody, regardless of what we've budgeted for that position, what we're looking for is somebody who has the skills of a town manager. So I just want to reflect in the title the skill set that we're looking for. And over time, we could adjust compensation to reflect that.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay, just a slight point of reference. Under the general law, which the town adopted, the actual title change is town administrator.
Town administrator.
Town manager has a different level of responsibility. So if you do change the title, it would need to go from executive secretary to town administrator because they're equivalent under the statute.
That's fine.
So do we amend the motion then?
Amend the motion to change the title to town administrator.
I'll second that motion.
What did he say?
He'll second the motion.
All right, I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so it's town administrator.
So just as a point of reference for the people listening and watching at home, back in 2003, the position was paid $40,000 a year for 24 hours a week. Because we had officials who came in and did a lot of the work that was prior belonging to the executive secretary, they felt they didn't need the position, and so they decreased the hours and they decreased the pay, and they made it a $17 an hour job. Had the job remained in its form originally, this job would be right where it should be as far as with pay raises over the years, to have a town administrator with good qualifications apply for this job. We have some phenomenal secretaries applying for this job, but nobody has management experience, and only 2 have municipal experience. So that's one of the reasons that I'm advocating for the change, and I can honestly say, I get nothing out of this, so it's not for me.
Okay, well, thank you. All right, the next one is the CDBG Dag Hill Road. There was money that was recaptured from the grants that were done. People in the tri-towns, if they needed to have a new roof put on their house, they could apply for the grant, they'd get the money. If they sold their house within the 15 years, the money was recaptured, and it depreciates according to how many years they were in the house. So there's been some money that's been recaptured, and I've been meeting with the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission and selectmen from Brimfield and Wales. So there's a house on Dog Hill that had gotten started, it got the roof done, and then the money ran out. So there's some of this money that's been recaptured that we've been asked to supply $5,000 to have the outside of the house done. And the 3 of us selectmen have agreed to have this done. So I just wanted to present that we were going to be doing this.
How much money was recaptured?
I think right now there's like 90,000.
This particular project is only going to absorb about 5,000 of that.
We have to come up with $5 to finish it up.
No, 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 no. The
I
way the
have the
program works is the state funds the program. Pioneer Valley oversees that program. We sign off on who gets to use the money. So the money is, when someone sells their property, they then would have to pay off their lien at whatever, because it decreases over time. And that money is what constitutes the recaptured money. So this is money that's been recaptured. We're giving CDBG permission to expend that recaptured funds on this project that was unfortunately put on hold because of a lack of funding for the previous year.
And right now there's, we're looking at 2 houses in Brimfield that are really bad, and possibly a handicap ramp at another place in Brimfield.
Nice.
So,
Well, that's what it's for, so it's good that it's
Yes.
getting reappropriated.
yes. All right, appointed poll workers and election warden.
Okay, I'll give you the list. The
Woo-hoo.
town clerk has asked that the following be appointed. Here's
Warden Kelly Robbins.
Yep, that'd be me.
Poll workers, Sarto, I'm going to kill these names.
You want me to read
Sar-
it, and
Yeah,
then
why
you
don't
can
you do
write the
that, because I'm
motion?
just going to kill the names.
So Warden Kelly Robbins, the poll workers would be Sardo Karen, Patricia Karen, Brenda Palmer, Angie Cassavant, and Judy Livernoy.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the poll warden and poll workers as presented.
Do I have a second? Eli?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Warrant sign, accounts payable, 40,000, are you ready for this? I'm sorry. $40,205.04. Payroll, $86,237.20.
What was the second one? Sorry.
Here, you can have my notes.
Thank you.
All right. The following are seeking members: Zoning Board of Appeals, 1 alternative member; OPEB, 2 members; Bylaw Committee, 1 member; Capital Planning Committee, 1 member not affiliated with any other boards or committees; Cable Committee, 1 or 3 members. Job Opportunities is now Town Administrator and Outreach Worker, both of them beginning July 1st.
The applications for the outreach worker closed today,
Okay?
and I emailed the scanned applications out to the committee, the hiring committee that was appointed at the last meeting, for them to start the process.
The
so they can interview.
the applications for town administrator close June 11th?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Okay. I want to thank Dawn Cass Evans for her Memorial Day celebration. It was phenomenal what she did. We had the whole fire department was here. They were all dressed up in full uniform. They looked fabulous. The police department was here. We had the marching band from Tantascwa. She did absolutely, it was a beautiful, moving ceremony, so I want to thank her for what she does.
Yeah, she does a phenomenal job.
It really was. So we have public access. Does anybody have anything? Of course, Chris, you always do.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not, Tina, but I'll take it as one. I was hoping that Brian would make this announcement, but he forgot. The weed treatment is going to happen June 14th on Hamilton Reservoir.
Oh, good, that's before school closes, way before.
And what that means is we ask people to stay off the lake with their vessels, boats and jet skis on that day for 24 hours. People can swim on the 15th, the next day. And there's no issue with using well water. It's only the lake water that we have to be concerned about. And the signs will be posted. There's one at the town hall, and there'll be a code red going out. So I just thought I would let the public know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Anybody else? Ann?
Ann Hall, I just wanted to say, I've been working really hard to get this drone company here, and so I've invited Norcross and Opacum to be part of it. We are making a fantastic movie about sickles and about the location of this part of the town and some of the lake. So anyways, stay tuned because this is a real professional thing that's coming out, and I think Tristan is on board with this. So we're hoping to start playing it on the cable TV of a $40,000 drone that came to town when, Jen, last week? About a week ago. Anyways, so that's very exciting. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I have you two here. Do you anybody know what day Bulky Day is?
I think it's September 15th.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All right. Close at 6:49. Thank you.
Thank you.
No LLC meeting tonight?